Hi, welcome to Galesburg.com Sports Talk. I'm Zack Creglow, the assistant sports editor for the Register Mail.
And I'm Aaron Frey, sports writer for the Register Mail.
This week we have a lot going on. Girls basketball's been in session for about 2 weeks. Boys started last week. We'll let Aaron talk a little bit about. He's been covering the Galesburg girls for us for about 2 weeks now, and they're off to a 2-4 start, which is a little bit uncommon for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of feel like I jinxed them. I show up here in Galesburg, and now they're after their worst start in quite a long time, probably at least 20 years. I'm not really certain on that. But one of the worst in recent memory for sure. They just have a lot of depth issues at this point. They're missing Maddie Boyer and Whitney Daler due to suspension, and they're really playing a 7-girl rotation right now, and they just don't have a lot of depth.
Still kind of unsure when those girls are going to be back too.
It should be in the next 2 weeks by my count. Though Evan Massey's kind of hush-hush on all that.
And they're also just kind of a young team to begin with. Daler was the only returning player pretty much from last year's squad that went 24-8 and played in the regionals there. But it seems like that was going to be an issue for them anyway.
Yeah, they really don't have a lot of experience. Like you mentioned, Daler was their only senior. They have a few juniors who saw some action last year, but they're a very young team, learning on the fly. So maybe this is just some growing pains for them.
What positive is Coach Massey trying to take out of this?
It's just kind of gaining experience and learning from. I mean, it's tough to say. It's not fun to say, but it's kind of learning from their defeats and kind of taking things away from the losses that they've had in the first couple weeks here.
And they haven't been playing really Sisters of the Poor either. They've been playing
Richwoods
and Freeport. I mean, it's been tough on them.
No, definitely. They've played 2 top 5 teams already. Illini West is a good team, and Metamora, who they just lost to Monday, should be a contender in the middle of that.
And what they got coming up next for them?
They've got where are they at? United Township, East Moline Thursday night, and then Dunlap on Saturday. 2 winnable games for them, so we could be looking back at a 500 record. Okay,
and for them to get back at that 500 record, what is, even with this short bench and the lack of experience, what is he needing them to improve upon immediately? I think he's talking about defense and intensity there in your article the other day.
Yeah, defensive intensity is the key for any team. But on offense for them, they really need Jessica Howard to step up and Monika Warner to stay out of foul trouble. Jessica Howard's sophomore. She's really their biggest 3-point threat, biggest scoring threat, and she's not been very good the last few games outside of the Illini West game to open the season. Monika Warner, if she stays out of foul trouble like she did against Rock Island, she had a huge night there. But when she gets into foul trouble, they don't really have anyone else inside to go to. Let's talk about the boys now. They opened up last week at the Dunlap tournament. What were your thoughts on Mike Reynolds?
Well, they went 2-1. With the team, they're playing some teams there in the Peoria area. You could tell they had been together longer. Galesburg, I thought was probably the most athletic team there by a wide margin, but it was an issue where they've been playing with Mike Reynolds' system for about 5-6 months now. A lot of it was installed in the summer, but still getting there on a court, having officials call a game like they're going to call in the regular season makes it a little more difficult. I think they probably feel pretty good coming out of there 2-1. They were tested. Dunlap was probably a little better than they anticipated. Morton is probably a 16-17 win team. They were pretty long, pretty well schooled. And then Chatham Glenwood was a pretty scrappy team, and they challenged them throughout. And I think that's what they probably left feeling best about, was that they were challenged. They had that bad loss Saturday morning to Morton. They came back, were challenged by Glenwood, but then they gutted out a win and actually put on a 10-0 run to start the fourth quarter to win that.
I know Galesburg went 2-1 in that tournament last year, correct? But I think you're a little bit more confident about the way they can follow up on that this season than they did last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a more athletic team this year, and I think they're gonna win on the tenets of defense, and their front court is pretty good. The conference is probably a little better this year, though. I mean, Rock Island. Has a kid named Chason Randall who's got everyone looking at him. He's got offers from Illinois and Iowa, and he's just a sophomore. So, that type. He played last year, made all conference, but he's been putting up some huge numbers this year. And they got Brandon Pullman, and Quincy's got a lot of kids back. So, I think they're probably a middle of the road team this year, which is for them is a pretty good lead.
Let's move on to the area girls basketball teams, and 2 teams that really stick out are West Central, which was top ranked in 1A to start the year, and Knoxville, which has gotten off to an incredible start without Hannah Weedman, their big center. Yeah,
and the thing was, Knoxville knocked off West Central after the game after Weedman was injured, which I think shocked. And I think when we got that result, we were like, "Whoa, what just happened there?" Matt Gibson took over that program. He used to be at CSC and was kind of the architect of that powerhouse there, and he's really got them playing defensive-minded, and he's got a lot more depth than I think people realized. West Central's had a little bit of issues. Ashley Coffey, their senior forward, was very good last year, made all-state honors, but he's just kind of second fiddle there to Miriam Rutten. They're very, very talented senior who's going to Harvard, and was two-time player of the year for us. But Coffey's really kind of overshadowed this year. She put up 36 in a game just a couple nights ago. But the issue for them is, Rutten's been struggling to score 10 plus tonight, and they got to get that figured out if they're going to have the season that many envision them having.
And I think I had a chance to see them for a little bit at the Alwood tournament, and I think you were kind of on board with this idea that maybe she has to handle the ball a little bit more than she did last year. That's possibly a reason for her not scoring as much.
It's a different team this year. It really is. It's last year they're up and down barn burning team, and this year they're scoring in the 40s. And even though they're winning 26, 27, 28 games the last couple of years, you still got to learn how to win in the 40s, and I think that's going to be the challenge for them. With the boys, going into the season, I thought we were kind of holding our breath, hoping, wasn't, on paper, it did not look to be that good of a season. We knew Billtown was going to be okay. Abington was kind of a question mark. Monmouth Roseville was a question mark, but to start the season, been some surprises.
Yeah, Billtown, their win Monday against Monmouth Roseville was a lot bigger than I anticipated.
And for the Billtown title there.
Yeah, at the Williamsfield Invitational, and they really just blew Monmouth Roseville out of the gym. Got them to turn the ball over a lot, got out to a big lead, and stuck with it. That's going to be their MO this year. They're going to be a up-and-down team, a lot of pressure defense. Abingdon got a big win in the Alwood tournament. They went 5-0 there, and I think they might surprise some people this season. I had them ranked number 2. I don't know how good of a number 2 they were going to be, but they don't have a ton of scorers. They don't, but they're a very balanced team, and they're going to play some good, tough defense and rebound really well. And that's what they did last year.
They got an established program there. I mean, they graduated a couple kids last year, and then they just kind of reload this year.
Yeah. They have Andy Brackett is their big center. He's kind of a defensive force, and he's a kid who can put the ball in the basket. And Ryan Yoho had some big games for them last week as well.
And it seems like Monmouth Roseville is extremely young. They lost Ben Gillen. They lost Brian Thompson. They lost a couple of very senior-laden class last year that went to the sectionals. And here they got a team with sophomores, freshmen, but they're still doing pretty well.
Yeah, they're a very deep team. They really have a lot of juniors and some seniors in there as well, but they're also playing a freshman and a sophomore. But I mean, they can go 10, 11 deep and really go after teams. So it'll be interesting to see how Chuck Grant and his squad kind of play out this season.
Well, thank you for joining us at Guilsburg.com Sports Talk.